I think we're ready to start. Sarah, are you ready?
Yes, I am. Let's go.
Awesome. Let's go. Welcome again, everybody, to this webinar, Why the Microsoft 365 Administrator Should Care About the Power Platform Governance. My name is Vlad Catrinescu. I will be your host, and today we have an amazing presenter from living in Germany currently, Sara Barbosa. How are you doing, Sarah?
Very well. Thank you, Vlad, for the opportunity to have this talk here in
It's
your
my
space.
pleasure, and it's a really important topic for every Microsoft 365 administrator, even if some of them don't know it yet, that it's their responsibility.
Yes, yes. Actually, that's why I am here because most of them don't know, as I was not aware like almost 1 year and a half ago. So, and then let's see if I can contribute and give some lessons learned that I learned it in a hard way, and maybe they can, skip this hard part.
Skip the hard pain part, yeah. Uh,
Yes.
Just some
Yes.
housekeeping before I do give you the stage for everybody. This webinar will be recorded and the recording will be shared to everyone afterwards, and the slides will also be shared. So that's all the boring housekeeping I needed to have. Sarah, the stage is all yours.
Thank you. Thank you. So welcome everybody. And before I tell you a little bit about myself, thanks a lot, Vlad, again for this space. And if you that are watching us right now and you want to know more about new webinars and also, just continue learning about new stuff, about Microsoft 365 Word and so on and so far, there is an amazing link here that you should have a look for sure. Let's go.
Thank you.
Yes, I could not avoid. um, so guys, Sara Barbosa, as Vlad said, Microsoft 365 administrator. Now we should call ourselves as Microsoft 365 administrator, not Office 365 anymore, because we are now responsible for more and more than only SharePoint, Exchange, and all the things that we had since the beginning um, of 365 journey. And I am a Brazilian, so I'm living in Berlin. I completed already 3 years. I still cannot speak German, but yeah, and I'm still working on my also English skills as well. But yeah, I really like to talk about Microsoft 365 things and also share my knowledge as much as possible. And as you can see here, I love beers. If you want to make me happy, send me beers. I will be very happy or more than I am now. If you want to follow me on LinkedIn, use the QR codes and then you can connect with me later and then we can exchange more information, or also if you want to ask more questions than the questions that you can ask during the session, you can also send me a message later, my Twitter and my LinkedIn profile. And today I am, responsible for Microsoft 365 platform at Schindler, the Schindler elevators, escalators company. So I am working as an internal user from in the IT department there. So, and we are doing a lot of nice stuff every day. And also I am an Office 365 MVP as Vlad. So I'm still calling as I still like to call as Office 365 MVP, even though we changed the category name. But I got too used to. So I will complete, I hope I can complete 9 years as a Microsoft 365 MVP, and like having a chance like today in sharing my knowledge and sharing some things to improve your 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 knowledge as well. And before we start, I just would like I know that Power Platform is something that it's a trend topic for everybody, not only for administrators, not only for admins or IT guys, but also from when we are thinking about business users or when we are thinking about citizen developers. So I just want to warn you, because I will not talk about, how to build a Microsoft Flow, or how to deploy Power Apps, or, those kind of cool stuff. I want to talk about it because my session is actually to talk with admins. And maybe, as Vlad said in the beginning, you don't know yet all the responsibility that you should have on Power Platform side. And so I would like to give you some insights. So do not expect for this session to learn about the, virtual agents or AI builder or things like that. But we'll, give a very highlight overview about the admin stuff that we are actually not. I can tell about myself, I was not prepared when I saw many users using inside of my company. And also, of course, I will give you some links that you can check later, but also most of the examples or the change that I did, or the ideas that I will bring here, it was based on what I have done, and it works for us, or it works for me, or when I was doing the tests, or when I was learning about it. But you can also, apply change in a different way. Just I would like to give you all the information that you need to have, and then you can decide the correct way for your company. And what I have prepared, as I already said, things that I want to talk about. So now let me explain what I will talk about. For sure, I need to explain why we need Power Platform governance, and why I am here talking about, maybe for some users, if you are, just playing around with nice solutions in Power Automate or Power Apps, you are like, oh, Sarah, so boring, and you were talk about governance side, and then now my IT guys will block everything, and I don't like this kind of approach. But that's why actually I want to talk about it. I also don't like to block solutions, especially when business users are bringing those or they are requesting for having Power Automate or Power Apps in our company. As a Microsoft administrator, I have the power to do things, but I also do like to enable people to do more, because I will not have time to build any additional solution for them. They can also go ahead. So I will explain why we are here. It's not to block anything, but also to understand, if you are not taking care, which risks maybe your company are facing, or will you face pretty soon if you don't take care. And then doing that, also I will cover a few topics about the administration and governance part. And for sure, you could use the Center of Excellence toolkit to read all the information that you need to build your governance, if you want. But I will not have time to cover everything that we have from Microsoft documentation, but I have selected, just one category, and then maybe we can check it out together, and then you can also go ahead and implement the whole recommendation from Microsoft, if you like, or if you want to implement like the whole structure and strategy about Power Platform in your company. Not only you as administrator, but also when you want to have the adoption in place, and also prepare your support and operations team to support those solutions. Yeah, so as I was planning, let's think about why, and when I was thinking about this this title, actually, I got a few questions from colleagues, from peers on that time, and they said, like, why do you want to bring more tasks to our table? Why I need to take care about Power Platform if I am not a developer, I am not a business user, I am only an Exchange administrator, or I don't know, a tenant administrator, and why should I, add more things on my in my desk, or add more things in my backlog? And that was kind of a face as well, as you can see here. Please don't do it. Don't bring more things to us. And also, when I was explaining that Power Platform should be something that we need to take care, also they said, but why you need to be the governance? Why you need to, implement those things? We are good. Everything is working. Why should we invest time on that? And then, every time, as I was saying in the beginning, sometimes we are only learning that we need to invest time, or we need to learn new things, or we need to, prevent or teach end users how they should use solutions in our company, and we just learn that in a hard way. And that's why I am bringing here few examples that maybe can give to you some reasons why you need to take care of. Because the first answer that you have to me probably, or you have, you are going to answer the same of my peers or my colleagues or my managers on that time when we were bringing those kind of, when I was bringing this topic. We don't need Power Platform governance. So we don't need to take care about those applications because users are not using, first of all. We didn't assign Power Apps or Power Automate license to them. So we don't need to take care. Relax, Sarah, because everything is under control. End users cannot use. They cannot sign up for Power BI, Power Apps, or Power Automate solutions, or maybe they are also not looking for to have any CRM solution inside of our environment. And then I said, okay, so let's keep like that. So a few months later, I discovered, and I have here some real case to share. I discovered what they were saying, when they were saying this sentence, it's under control. And actually, that's why it's so funny when someone is saying like, don't worry, I have everything under control. Maybe they mean that they have that kind of control, not because they have, they are prepared for this new word. And saying that, while we are here talking about this topic, let me give you some examples about what does it mean, everything under control when you are not preparing before you have users using Power Automate or Power Apps in your company, even though you are not assigned license from your admin center. First of all, if you are watching, you can also send me a message, or you can send the answer of those questions that I will paste here. What is wrong with this workflow with 3 steps? It's so simple. Everybody can build it. Everybody can create a flow inside of Power Automate with 3 steps. That when with a trigger, like when an email arrives, I want to get the attachment, and I want to save the attachment in somewhere else. It's very simple, and you don't need, to do a very heavily training about this. But what could be wrong with a flow of that, like that? Can be wrong because I don't know your policies, your internal policies, but some companies, they are trying to implement a lot of restrictions, or at least try to controlling what the user can share outside, or what the user can save in personal devices or in personal cloud locations. And with this this flow with 3 steps, you could provide to end users inside of your tenant the possibility to combine 2 connectors. Enterprise connector, taking exchange information or information from internal mailbox, and also save this information or these attachments to our OneDrive personal. This is a personal OneDrive, it's not a OneDrive for business. And then if you are not preparing your environment using DLP policies, you could have someone combine 2 connectors. And I am not saying that DLP policy will save your life when I am think about Power Platform, because until now, as far as I know, you cannot block a specific connector, like totally, but at least you could, you could prepare your environment to avoid this combination that I have here, like a personal connector to a enterprise connector, and then at least you are not allowing your user to build a flow like that. Okay. Second, users question. When we are not providing solution to our users or to our business side, they will find the solution without us. And probably they already are using Power Automate and Power Apps. If you don't know if they are using, I will show you where you can take a report and see how many users are using trials in your company. And every time that the trial gets expired, they can also extend the trial, or they can open a ticket to you, like this question that we have. If I have an organization, and my organization say that we are not using Power Platform, but I am not blocking the trials in my tenant, which I really don't like this idea, to be honest, but some companies, they are blocking at all the trials. If you're not blocking, you can also have users using Power Apps or Power Automate solutions without you knowing, or without having an, without they don't need to ask you for license. They can just sign up for a product. They can go there in Power Automate portal, and then they can create a trial by themselves. And if they are able to do it, and you are not aware, or you are not monitoring, at least to educate users, maybe they need to finish a training first before they start to use. Or maybe you actually don't need to have users using Power Platform solutions yet in your company. But if you are not thinking about it, probably you are going to get a question like that. Why has my license expired? They start to use a trial, and now they just got this message and they don't know how to do it. Or, sometimes we are just getting tickets because there is a strange message, and sometimes we are not reading the message, and then we are just open the ticket to IT, and IT will solve the problem. But actually, for this kind of message, if you are not preparing your operations team to answer, this actually will be the answer from your IT support. They will be like, how this user is using Power Automate? I didn't assign license from the tenant level. How they found? How they are using? We are going to be, from the operation side, we are going to be lost. We don't have the answer. So we didn't give the solution, and also when they are asking questions, we don't have the answer. So a second reason why I am here, trying to enabling you to be prepared for this journey. Next, I think SharePoint administrators probably, you saw this message before in your life. If you are not SharePoint administrator, yeah, I can, apologize you, but SharePoint administrator for sure, you saw it someday or in somehow, even if it was Googling something or looking for an answer. And why I am talking about SharePoint error message if I am talking about Power Platform. Actually, this error was happening in the whole tenant because we had a workflow that was causing throttling in our tenant, you know. And so because a user created a workflow with 2 steps, which it was causing an infinite loop in this flow. He was, you know, triggering when an item was modified in a SharePoint library, or when an item was created in a SharePoint library, and then the next step they were, you know, modifying the item again. So this workflow was running for many hours until Microsoft just, you know, break the connection and send to the administrators this message. So please take care, because there is one workflow that is executing a lot of requests against this website, like this SharePoint siting specifically. And then we had to identify that a user was using Microsoft Flow in our company because of an error, because of, you know, a message from Microsoft. So it's pretty hard from admin perspective when we got messages like that, or when we are having problems in our tenant which we don't know the answer, and we had everything under control. And the root cause of this issue was something that we were not taking care or paying attention. In the last example, I will invite Vlad to just, or all of you, you can scan this QR code here and tell me if you can open the dashboard. I will give you like 30 seconds.
All right, I'm going to try it now. There we go. app.powerbi.com. And like 6 loading. Your year-to-date IT spend trend analysis. I see you've been spending.
In IT, can you imagine
in IT.
Yes, so guys, look, now you can see an internal report and how much I am spending money in my company. And also you can see how much I am spending in IT or not. And you can also see the whole dashboard, the whole information. So maybe you don't know, but Power BI also is part of Power Platform. And sometimes when you are not reviewing the settings from your tenant, doesn't matter if it's Power Apps, Power Automate, or Power BI, you can make this option enable, and users that do not have Power BI Pro license, they are finding a way how to share a dashboard without any license. But this can be, that kind of settings can be dangerous as well, because they can also share anonymous link of the dashboard, which they don't know like how far this link can go, but it's anonymous access, you know. They can create the dashboard with all the internal data, and then they can share internally, but who knows if someone can take the link and will be able to access without any authorization. So this is also can be an issue, you know, so that's why I'm here, to try to prevent some information leak through Power BI reports or connectors, as you saw about OneDrive Personal together with Outlook, to avoid having like a support case which you are not prepared to answer, to avoid having problems with your SharePoint sites and so on and so far. So if you want to know why I'm here, so I already answered, we can finish the session. But let's give to you some tools, how you can prevent or how can you prepare, right? No, we are not going to talk about Kevin. We are going to talk about Power Platform. If you are an administrator, and yeah, you need to add another item on your backlog. At least from the admin side, as I said all the time, I am repeating, I don't want to bring any kind of a business users request, like build a new app for me, or create a new workflow. I just want to give you like some ideas how you can prevent all the things that I said before, and how you can start monitoring your environment. Not only think about SharePoint, Microsoft Teams, Exchange, but also think about Power Platform. And for sure, I will add all the links, official links that you can check it later. If you want to see who can create an environment in your organization, kind of the environment architecture and how you are going to design the environment creation for your company. It's a very huge conversation because depends on the license that you have. Depends also if your developers are going to also start using Power Platform. Depends on your normatives, I would say, internal normatives, and how you want to provide Power Platform as a solution for your company. But what you can decide already is who can create a new environment in your company. You know, if you don't have the answer, how you are going to have the environment architecture designed for your company, at least you can decide who can create new environments. And the same can be assigned for environment permissions, who has permissions to do what inside of this environment, and also DLP policies, how you can check it out, the DLP policies, and how you can start applying a few DLP policies to prevent business data connector with non-business data connector. And also, just in case you already are planning to use data gateways to provide the possibility to connect from on-premise service and then bring the data or sync the data to cloud solutions like Power Apps, Power Automate, Power BI. You can also check how many connectors you already have in your environment, and also you can decide who can install data connectors or not, and have kind of like a control on that as well. And everything that I will say and I will show you very soon, you can also review the HOAD roles. I had a chance to meet someone that was a Dynamics 365 expert, and he told me that he had, I don't know if he still has, Dynamics 365 administrator permission. And with that permission, this Dynamics 365 administrator could do more than was necessary for his job. And everything was delegated because the HOAD or the Microsoft 365 administrator didn't know which permission they should grant to this colleague, you know. And maybe you should review as well all the HOAD roles that we have now, because Microsoft is creating more, and also try to segregate. Depends on the service or depends on the permission that you are going to grant to somebody else. And for sure, I will not spend a lot of time about talking about license, but you need to decide if you are going to prevent or not trials in your organization, if you are going to have people using free version of Microsoft Flow, for example, E3 or E1. They already have license as part of the package, so you don't need to buy an extra license. Depends on the resource or depends on the feature that they are looking for. And something that it's important about the license is the ability to purchase. If an end user wants to use Power Apps or Power BI or Power Automate, and you are not allowing them to use from your license package, they can also, if you don't change it, they can also buy and they can pay the license using their credit cards or invoice, and they are going to have those licenses assigned to your tenant. There is already like a script that you can disable this option, the self-service purchase. You just need to run a script. I can send to you the link, and you can disable this option that end users or users that are not admins, they are not able to buy license and assign the license to your tenant. And also let's see some ways to monitor and also check some features that sometimes we are using for Exchange and SharePoint, and we can also use for Power Platform. And also, just in case you'd like to have more, more controlling, more secure way to prevent things, you can also have, extra license like Azure AD Premium E1, and then you could decide conditional access. Inside of the conditional access, what kind of application your users can use, or which user or which security group can use, and also combine it with Microsoft Intune and deploy or prevent people to install Power Apps or Power Automate apps on their mobiles. Depends on your case. So how can we start? First of all, if you are like starting right now, learning a little bit more about all the things that I was saying before, and you don't know how to start, for sure I will show you some the admin portal, some templates that you can use. But if you want to have how to start, or if you want to designate an action plan for your company, I have here a list of tasks which I can provide to you. For sure, you can change, you don't need to follow all the things. I just want to give you an idea, and you could separate all the tasks based on the COE start toolkit. You can start from the architecture point of view, and then which admin or governance tasks you should do, tenant level, when you want to have a platform monitoring plan, or when you are thinking about environmental life cycle, or what kind of DLP policies you could use in your company, whatever you want, So, and you can use whatever tool you want to bring all the tasks, and then you can monitor when you are finished based on the categories that you are adding to the list. So as I was showing before, architecture, administrative tasks, the adoption tasks, operations and support are kind of everything that we need to plan. Doesn't matter the name of the solution, or doesn't matter what we are deciding for our company. But as Power Platform, maybe for some of you is a new topic, you could use the list that I have, and then review all the tenant settings, starting on not only thinking about Power Apps, but Power BI and everything that is inside of Power Platform solutions. I can provide this list to you in the end of the session. Maybe Vlad can share in his blog as well. It's just, a draft. It's not something that you probably are going to find in Microsoft documentation, all the tasks, but at least it was something that I created to follow. And after you decide, decide which action plan do you want to do in your company, you can also implement some things. Like when I am talking about Power Platform Admin Center, be aware that today we have few admin centers. When I would like to share things related with Power Platform, we have the classic portal, which I will start my demo with, this portal. You have the new portal. You also have Power BI tenant settings. It's a new portal. If you are using the Dynamics 365 CRM solution in your company, is a different portal. So depends on where you do like to start. Today we have few places where to find information. And also there are some commandlets if you want to do through PowerShell, or if you like to use PowerShell. It's not all the commandlets that are ready, is still in preview actually. I just, sometimes I'm using few of them, not all of them, because some are still under development. But you can also use, and that is a possibility. And so let's just go ahead here. Usually I just add the change that I did in my environment. So who can create environments? Only admins. Environment life cycles, or the life cycle that I would like to receive updates from Microsoft if I am using Dynamics 365 environment, or if I have environment with Power Apps and I have inside of this environment a CDS database, and I want to decide which when I would like to get updates from Microsoft. You can also decide kind of like a window for your environment to not have all the updates arriving in your environment as soon as they are available, where you can change the DLP policy, because if you are changing who can create environments, you are also change who can create DLP policies. As I said, when I am thinking about HOAD admin center, you can decide who is Dynamics 365 administrator, which doesn't matter if this person is Dynamics 365 administrator today or is Power Platform administrator. They are going to have the same permission to do everything that I will show in a second. And also, if you are global administrator, tenant administrator, you can do everything that I have prepared. And as I mentioned before, if you would like to have the command LED to disable the self-service purchase for your environment, at least when you want to prevent Power Platform self-service purchase, you can have a look on this command LED and then decide which one you don't want to have available for your company. Yeah. And for sure, I have some templates from the COE that I will show you during my demo. I will not spend time on this slide. Let's go to the first demo, and let's, get to know the Power Platform Admin Center. I'm not sure if everybody are already, everybody knows about all the portals that we have. Do you have some specific question, Vlad, or can I continue?
There was a few questions about sharing the links to the resources and things like that. So those will be shared afterwards. I kind of got that in the chat. And we also have somebody from Goiânia, and I hope I pronounced that correctly, in Brazil watching.
From Goiânia.
Awesome.
Ooh. Yeah, it was kind of correct.
Kind of correct. I did my best.
Yeah, it was not so bad. Thanks. Yeah, so let's find out the portals. As I said, we have a few portals, few admin centers today to start with. We know that from the Microsoft 365 admin side, we already have many portals. So just to bring to you more. And if you are checking here all the admin centers, you can find Power Apps, or you can just go to Power Automate. You are going to end up in the same place. Doesn't matter which one you want to start first. You are going to open a portal like that, which maybe you are going to see a different URL, but the configuration are the same, and also the colors. This one is blue and the Power Apps is purple. And here you can see environments, okay? The environments that you have created in your company. And sometimes the environment was not created by you. It was created by someone that was, using a trial license. As I said, if you are not taking care, for sure you are going to see some environments already in your tenant. And you can see the type of the environment. If you are using Dynamics 365, maybe you know the difference between sandbox environment and a productive environment. And usually, every company that are using Office 365, at least E1 and E3, you already have this default environment created for your tenant.
Hey, Sarah, I have a quick, really interesting question as you talk about the default environment. Can we change the region or the geo of the default environment?
As far as I know, no.
That's what I knew as well, that you cannot
You cannot
change
change
it.
this configuration, the region, and also you cannot change yet the name of the environment. You know, because for all the environments you are able to, but for the default ones, which was created by Microsoft, by the system, is still not available how to change. And I read something that probably by PowerShell someday, but as far as I know, is still not supported.
Awesome, thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, I actually I had this request. You are going to see my action plan that I was planning to change the name of the environment, because probably you are going to see the name of the default environment everywhere when you are using Power Automate or Power Apps. You are going to see by default, everybody in your company should see the default environment. And we got an update last year in 2019 in April, which Microsoft upgrade the environment and then add kind of like a environment got the upgrade, something like that, a very strange name. And until now, maybe someone knows how to do it. Until now, I was not able to, rename it. And it's pretty ugly, the name for my organization now. Not this one. This one is quite okay. And those are the environment that you have in your tenant. As Vlad was saying, you can create a new environment based on the region. So when you are creating a new one, depends on the license. Again, you can decide where this environment will be used for. And every time that you want to create an environment, because we have now 2 portals, if you are clicking here, you need to go to the new platform, new Power Platform Admin Center, which I will go there in a few minutes. Let me just finish here. If you want to understand how many apps or how many flows you have in your environment already, because before you didn't know that people were using, you can check it out, the default, and check the resource, and you are going to see a list of Power Apps, and you are going to see also a list of flows in your organization. And from here, that everything will start when we are thinking about a governance side, because you could trigger using a flow when someone is creating a new flow or a new Power Apps, and you could also take actions, as admin, you could disable this workflow, or for example, there is a workflow that is causing an issue against your tenant, you can also disable. There is a very common question. If someone is leaving my company and this user was the owner of a workflow, how can I take over of this workflow? And you can also, as admin, you could also, delegate to somebody else to be the owner of the flow that was working before. Something about DLP policies. As I said, if you don't have any DLP policy in your company, I really recommend that you go here and at least, for the default environment, review the connectors that you'd like to give or to keep enabled for your company. If you are not ready to start with Power Platform, at least go here and review all the connectors, as I have some business data connector, and I added a few connectors that I was already, aware of, and connectors basically that are provided by Microsoft. And then I also added connectors related with business enterprise connectors. So I am leaving all the personal connectors outside as a non-business connector. And then I will avoid in this environment, in the default environment, I will avoid that someone is creating a connector, taking information from a mailbox and then save in a personal OneDrive. as I was showing my example before. And you could delegate the DLP policy to a specific environment or to apply to all environments that you have. You can decide it. And something that also I think it's very nice to do it is kind of create an environment which will be a dev environment, or it can be also a playground for your company. And here you could leave all the environments available. And then everybody could play around, you know, doesn't matter if it was a business data connect or non-business data connect. I could combine that every time that Vlad send me an email, I will post this information on Twitter. I could post to a Yammer, so you can feel free and find out all the templates. And if you have this configuration that I have here, which is by default in every environment, if you didn't change, everybody can use every connector. Even though this connector is a third-party connector, even though this connector needs a specific type of license, doesn't matter. If you are not reviewing, you are keeping your door very open to the world. And you are looking for to understand what kind of license or what kind of trials your company or your users are using today. You can just go here in the Classic portal and you can take a list of license related with Power Apps, Power BI, and Microsoft Automate. And you can have a quick look in an Excel, let's see, in an Excel file like this one. Yeah, I just exported a few minutes ago. You see, I can see the name of the user. I can see which license they were trying. I can see when they got the license. I can see if it was a trial or not. And also sometimes, depends on how many times they extended the trial, you can also see the expiration date for this license. But for sure, you can take the information from PowerShell if you like. But it's important to know that you can get this report from this portal. This is everything that I had prepared for Classic environment. Let's jump into the new portal, which I recommend to all of you to use more. You know, if you would like to start. Why is not opening? Let me check here.
Hey, Sarah, while that opens, actually two quick questions. So one of them, in my admin center, it doesn't have a default, it shows upgrade. What does that mean?
The same issue that I have is not an issue, it's just a funny name that Microsoft added. Last year, as I said, in 2019, we got an upgrade for all Power Platform environments, the full environment or all the environments that we had, which Microsoft upgraded the CDS entity, you know, applying kind of a patch to the CDS. And that's why all the environments by default, the default ones, or the ones that Microsoft was upgrading by Microsoft, got this upgrade information here after the default name. It was a name added by Microsoft because we had a chance as administrator to upgrade, but as we didn't upgrade following the deadline, Microsoft did, and then the funny name was added automatically.
Okay, and maybe just to answer the question as well, the name doesn't really matter, but you're always going to have one environment with a type default, whatever the name is in the end, because your admin might have renamed it, as Sarah said. So it's the type that matters, that you will always have one default one in the tenant. Like if we go in the type column.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. This is the default. If you are not using today, is the default created by the system, as I said. But if you are using and you are starting, you are creating strategy about environments, you can also do the same as I did. You can have a developer one, and inside of this environment, I can say, Sara can use this environment, Vlad can also use, and I will be able to do more when I am thinking about connectors inside of this environment than inside of this default environment, because this one it's already assigned to everybody in your company. And to see the difference, if you are going here in a Power Automate portal, probably you are going to see the default environment, but you can also, depends on the permissions that you have, you can also change or switch to a different environment. It's kind of, how can I use an example? You have many database inside of your Microsoft 365 solution, which depends on what the administrator wants to provide you. You can switch to another environment. Yeah. So talk about environments. In the new portal, now we have a capability to decide using the Power Platform settings to decide who can create environments and if you are going to allow trial environments. And if you are going to allow who can create, because until now, by default, every user using a Power, for example, Power Apps P2 license, I think it's the old name of this license, but anyways, they can create environments inside of your tenant. And if you don't change this configuration here, probably you are going to see or find more environments than only the default one. And then you can have a look and do the cleanup if you like, and then change the settings. Is the same configuration could be applied for data gateways, as I said. You can decide who can install data gateways in your company, and you could define users that can install gateways in your organization. If you don't know if there is already some gateway connected to your tenant, you can also have a look here. For sure I don't have, but you can check it out in your admin center and see if there is some. Something that I would like to share. Now we are changing the portal again. Before I go ahead, if you'd like to...
Why make it easy when you can make it complicated with 3
right,
different admin centers?
Actually, we have the Dynamics 365 as well, which I will not go there today because I don't have license. Something that you can use in this new portal that Microsoft is trying to concentrate everything in this portal. That's why I was saying the previous one, what is it? This one is the classic one, and this one is the modern, let's say a modern one. And for sure you are going to find all the admin centers from this portal. You know, if you do like to start, you can start from here, but DLP policy is not available yet to be configured from here. That's why I was in the classic portal before. And for sure you can also see some usage of Power Automate, Power Apps, using the analytics part of this portal. And to not forget about Power BI, let me go there. There is only one simple configuration that I would like to show you. So I'm here in Power BI portal. If you have free license of Power BI in your tenant, you already have access to this portal that I am now, and you can be Power BI administrator, or you can also be a global administrator. You can find out here this page that I am now. And one thing that you need to review right now is the capability to publish to web. Okay, of course we can, do another session about all the Power BI tenant settings Actually, I think I have a session about it very soon. Have a look on my blog and I can share with all of you. If you don't want to have a dashboard, as I was showing before, that you can see all my data or my dashboard because I was using a public link, you can have a look in this configuration and decide from your tenant who can publish a dashboard using Power BI to the web. Because this configuration here before by default was, available to everybody, and everybody could, using a free license, share a dashboard with colleagues outside of our company, embed this dashboard to a SharePoint page, or, do a lot of nice things with Power BI reports. Now, for sure, Microsoft add a little bit more control to these settings, but I really recommend create a security group in your HOAD and define who can and who cannot use this capability, because it can be very serious, because you are generate a public link, and depends who is creating, you can have troubles. These are settings that I really recommend to you. And to finish, because I still have many things to share for sure, but we discovered a little bit of the admin center, environments, DLP, how can change the permission of environment creation. And that is something that you can do if you'd like to monitor how many workflows, how many Power Apps people are creating in your company. You can go to Power Automate right now. You can select the first template, and you can just save this flow, and you are going to start receiving reports in your email like that. You can see how many Microsoft flows you have in your tenant created last 15 days, how many Power Apps. It's pretty simple, how you can create this monitor and get the reports. And if you want to find out, go to Power Automate portal, go to templates, and just type here, admin. And you have a template provided by Microsoft. And you can define, the schedule. You can receive this twice a week, every day, or whatever you like. And for sure, you are not able to provisioning this workflow in your default environment because you already changed the DLP policy. What I recommend, so probably you have a dev environment or a different one for your admin stuff, and then you can change the environment, and then you can just decide which template and which connector you are going to use for monitoring plan.
Hey, Sarah, I have a question, and this one doesn't come from the chat. It's from me. Do we need to have one of those flows for each environment, or would this flow actually get the information from across all of our environments?
Depends on the template. For this first template that I was showing here, you are going to read all the environments. I have the flow already. Yeah. Let me just show you here quickly. Microsoft is already doing, the search, because this connector is not available anymore, unfortunately. If you are trying to build a new one using the same without identify which environment, as far as I know, it's only available for this template. And here we read or will trigger, doesn't matter which environment. You can have, 20 environments. As you can see in this email that I got it, I was reading dev environment, quali environment, and also the default environment. Depends on what kind of app was created. But if you are using the second template, and then is the one that it's available for you to start from scratch, and then you need to specify which environment you'd like to read. Okay?
Awesome, thank you.
I don't know why I think because at least from my environment, it takes long time to run because yeah, I have many environments and I have many things inside. So maybe Microsoft remove it for now. As you could see, it was in preview, maybe still in preview, and I'm still not sure if they should provide it as a default connector or not.
That's
Default
a
step.
good question. I'll add to my to-do list to find that out.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
As we are kind of at time, let me ask this question from the chat, which is really interesting. How can I monitor and act on Power Platform with Microsoft Cloud App Security?
I haven't done anything using Cloud App Security because we know that we need a specific license. And I know that we
Yeah,
can
it's
go
Azure AD
very far.
P2. It's the
Yeah,
P2, it's the expensive one.
yeah, and we can go very far with how we can monitor. But I will give you, just to finish, information that you don't need to add a different type of license in your tenant if you'd like to start monitoring, with kind of a standard way to do it. And then you can, later you can decide if you'd like to buy something to add more capability. If you are Microsoft 365 administrator, you can go to security and compliance, and there is activity alerts, which you can find activity of users, the same that you could find when you are using audit logs, and you could decide, like I have here, when someone is changing Power BI tenant settings, when someone is sign up for Power BI or Power Apps or Power Automate trial license. I would like to get a notification. Also, I would like to send them that they should finish training before they continue use the solution. That's the way that I found without pay any extra license. I am using the out of the box, I would say, way to monitor. And I will probably get an email like this one, depends on the activity. And then from this email, I will act or I will build a workflow to trigger who did and which action I want to do based on the activity. That's how I am doing today without Cloud App Security. Yeah, so as we are running out of time, I will just leave here in my slides more information, like have a look in the COE Start Kit. It's very nice. There are many nice templates, like the one that I was showing before. And you can also, discover which solution will be better for your environment. And then you can build and you can protect all the solutions and also provide a better Power Platform implementation. And everything that I said before, all the tips, all the things, lessons learned, I learned it when I was reading this governance white paper, which I truly recommend if you'd like to start, besides all the things that I said before. And that's it. Thank you for joining us, and it was a pleasure. Thanks, Vlad.
Thank you very much, Sarah. You had a lot of people saying thank you in the chat, and this is very valuable. So thank you very much, Sarah, for your time. Always appreciate when people give their time for the community, and I learned a lot of stuff as well, as you've seen from my questions. So this has been really awesome. And like we said before, we're going to share the slides, which include all of the links, as well as the recording if you ever want to share it with anybody else in the organization, to everyone. Between 24 and 36 hours after the webinar, everything will be sent to you. And that's it. Thank you very much again, everyone. Stay safe and have a great end of the week. I know it's only Tuesday, but I'll just think it's Friday in my head. This way we're almost at the end of the week. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, Vlad.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, everybody.